Hi everyone, welcome back to the Small Space Garden Series. Today we're talking about vertical space and how we can maximize it by using trellises. Well, the Small Space Garden is starting to take shape. It's getting super exciting. I've taped off a 7 by 11 area here of my deck, and we're pretending we're on an apartment balcony. We're growing a lot of food in a little bit of space. We're learning how to do it together. We're doing it quick, simple, and inexpensive, and we're having a lot of fun along the way. Now in this video, we're also going to be doing another giveaway for 5 of the 5-gallon Smart Pots containers. These are a great way to get started with your small space garden. These are special because they have the Smart Pots logo and the CaliKim Garden and Home logo. So it's a really fun container to grow in, and here's how you enter. Now the drawing is open to US residents only, and all you need to do to enter is make a comment after watching the video about something that you learned. And we'll be doing the drawing on Monday, April 23rd at noon Pacific time in our live stream. Now if you watched the last one, there were also a few surprise prizes thrown in for each winner also. So make sure you enter, and good luck to everyone. Thank you so much, Smart Pots, for partnering with us on this series and for making this series possible. Well, we've got some trellises to install, so you know what that means. We got to move things out of the way, and let's get started. Remember, our goal for this garden space is to grow a lot of food in a little bit of space. And if we don't use all the vertical space here, we are wasting this space. I mean, we can double or triple the vegetables that we grow by using the space right in here, by using the deck railings, by growing vertically with the towers and the stacks. But today, we're going to talk about trellising. We're going to get some easy ones installed right in here. We're going to install some super inexpensive trellises with using staking, using some fencing, and also upcycling some fun items around the garden. Now the first super inexpensive option for trellises is just a big collection of stakes. So you probably already have a lot of these around your house. If not, you can pick them up for super inexpensive at the garden center. Here's a variety of stakes that I picked up over the years from the garden center. They're just really tall. I think it's about an 8-foot pole. So this is a perfect trellis for like a climbing plant, like a pea or a cucumber. And then here's these just cedar poles, I guess. They're about 5 feet tall. Actually, they're about 6 feet tall because they're taller than me. And these you can pick up at the garden center, or you might even have them already laying around. Now, here's some fun ones that I like. This is an old stalk from one of my favorite sunflowers from last year. So it's kind of fun because it makes me think of the beautiful sunflower I had last summer, and I just saved it. It's nice and dry, so it's a perfect stake to use for a trellis. And these are great ones, old bamboo poles. You can pick up at the garden center too. Now this one is fun. We actually had a tree trimmed, or a tree fall over in a windstorm, and I saved a couple of the branches because they're kind of in a nice little shape that I could climb a couple of plants up these. So we're going to install a couple of these today and show you how simple it is to get these put in your garden beds. I really like the natural look of this old tree branch. So what I'm going to do is make a teepee trellis out of this. But first I'm going to turn it over and cut off some of the old branches that are kind of sticking out. So this is the end that's going to go, whoops, sorry Mac. This is the end that's going to go in the bottom. So I'm just cutting these off. And it's really fun to just recycle some of your old garden branches. Okay, so I'm going to put that here in my round 20-gallon Smart Pots. Just going to stick it right in the bottom. And the nice thing about the good dirt that we're using is that it's super light and fluffy and loose, and this trellis is just going to slide right in. It's going to get it down in there and get it anchored really well down in the container. And then I'm going to need a third leg to my teepee, so I'm going to take this bamboo pole, put it down into my container, and then I'm just going to tie them together at the top with a piece of rope. So it makes for a nice look, and it'll be a nice sturdy trellis. And we're going to plant some, I think we'll plant some cucumbers in here so they can climb up this trellis and really maximize our garden space. Now the other nice thing about trellising is it really defines your garden space. It makes it look really pretty. You can hide like an ugly wall or something like that. and it really makes a nice cozy space for you to sit and enjoy. That is so cute. Now, the next really super easy option for trellising is some fencing. Now you might recognize these. These are my DIY tomato cages. So you can either use it as a cage and put it in one of your round containers just like that. Just put it right down in there. And the nice thing about this is that you can make it, you can fit to size. You can even clip it apart, open it up and put it in one of the long garden beds. And actually for this, I have another type of fencing that you can get at the hardware store. I'm going to go grab that. And you guys might have seen these also on some of our other videos. This is a piece of a cattle panel. Now these are super, super sturdy. And we've cut this down to size here. You might have seen some of our garden arches in our other videos. But this is a perfect trellis to fit in this long garden bed. So this is actually what I'm going to use for my big bag, 6-foot long raised bed. Mac, you might have to move out of the way there. So I'm actually just going to put this right behind here. And at the end of the video, we're going to plant some cucumbers back here. And this will be a perfect spot to maximize this garden space and grow a lot of cucumbers here. Have some fun with trellising. One of my third favorite ideas for trellises is to upcycle what you can find around the garden or what you can find in thrift stores. Here's some old wire fencing. I'm gonna put that in just a moment. And a really fun one is find yourself some really cool looking old garden tools and just put them in your containers. So I'm gonna put this right in here. And you can plant something that will just climb up that, and you might have to tack it back to your deck railing to make it a little sturdier. And then something fun to do with these is you can even nail some boards across and make like a little fan trellis. So it just makes for a really fun look in your garden. So get creative. Don't be afraid to use something that you wouldn't think of as a traditional trellis. Now the wire fencing is pretty handy, or the wire shelving. This is just some old shelving that I had from a greenhouse that I'm not using right now. And I'm just gonna put this right here in this tower, and boom, it becomes a trellis. So look around at thrift stores for old shelving, old fencing, and just upcycle and recycle whatever you can find, and it just makes it a lot of fun in the garden. Another really quick and simple option for trellising if you don't have time to make anything is just to pick yourself up a couple of tomato cages from the hardware store. These are a few bucks a piece. They work great to support small plants like peppers. Here's a fun little colored one. And here are some little bamboo little stake archways that make a really nice support for even a bean plant. And then this trellis here I absolutely love. This is super cheap on Amazon. I think you get a pack of 2 for about $16. It's a really beautiful trellis, and super inexpensive way to grow vertically. And I planted some peas in here last week. They're not quite coming up yet, but we are going to get some plants in where I put all these trellises, and our garden is taking shape. So let's get some plants in. This is going to be a lot of fun. Well, I started these seedlings a couple of weeks ago for my small space garden seed collection, and I've been hardening them off all week, and I'm really excited to get them planted. Well, it's important to install your trellises before you plant, so that way you don't disturb the roots of your little veggies when you plant later. So first off, we're going to plant the little marvel pea. This is from my small space garden collection. This is a nice compact vegetable, and remember, we're trying to grow a lot of food in a little bit of space, so it's really important that we plant compact vegetables that aren't going to take up as much room, but are still going to be nice producers for you. So these roots are looking really, really good. I've been fertilizing these with worm tea about once a week, and the worm tea does an absolutely beautiful job developing those roots. Now, last week we planted some pea seeds in here, and oh, I do see one that looks like it's just getting ready to break the surface right down in here. So we've had some really cold nights this week, which has made the peas come up pretty slowly. And they're going to grow very nicely in this 20-gallon Smart Pots. So a 20-gallon is a really nice size for peas because you can really pack a lot in. And I'm also going to add a scoop of the Vermistera worm castings, which really helps give them a really great start, adds the beneficial bacteria and microbes, just settles them down around the roots of those plants, and really helps protect against pests and diseases. Now look at how nice and light and fluffy this good dirt soil is. This is absolutely a beautiful container potting mix. And I'm just going to put this pea plant right down in there. It's going to grow beautifully in the smart pots. The aerated fabric helps the roots get the air and the nutrients and the water it needs. Oh, that just looks so cute. I love how that looks here in this container. Peas are a cool weather loving vegetable. They love temperatures under 75 degrees. So plant them early in the spring while the weather is still cool, and keep in mind that they might need some protection from the afternoon heat if you have a sunny small space garden. So I'm planting them here in this spot where they get a little bit of afternoon shade. So here on my TP trellis, I'm going to plant some cucumbers. Now these are the Space Master cucumbers, which are also in my small space seed collection, and this is great. They are a smaller size cucumber. They're not going to get 5 or 6 feet tall. They might get 3 or 4 feet tall. So it's a nice compact plant for your small space garden. Again, remember we're growing a lot of food in a little bit of space here. So we're going to do the same technique, put in the Vermistera worm castings. Now, if you want to pick up some Vermistera worm castings, you can go to vermistera.com and make sure you use my code CaliKim so you get a 10% discount. So it'll really get them off to a nice start. And I'm going to dig down in here in this good dirt. And again, this is a 20-gallon container, perfect for growing cucumbers, allows enough space for the root development, and it'll fill in this container absolutely beautifully. So I'm going to plant 1 cucumber at the base of each one of my TP trellis legs here, and I just love the natural look that this old tree branch provides to this container. It's going to look so pretty once it fills in and we start picking those fresh, tasty cucumbers. Forgot to add worm castings to that hole there, so I'm just going to sprinkle it in on the top, and when I water it in just a few minutes with worm tea, it's going to sink down in there and give it all those wonderful nutrients. Now here along my cattle panel trellis, I'm going to plant some cucumber seeds along with some cucumber transplants, because again, I like to have harvests at different times. So I've got my transplants going, which will give me a harvest in probably about 6 weeks or so. And then I'm also going to plant some of the Space Master cucumber seeds. So I'm going to plant them right here along the soaker hose that we installed last week. Just going to drop a couple of seeds in the hole. Now cucumbers you can plant, these Space Master cucumbers you can plant a foot or so apart. So I'm going to cover that up. And I'm going to plant some seeds also in the middle of the garden bed, and then fill the rest of the trellis in with some cucumber seedlings. So because we're planting densely in our containers, we want to make sure we have nice nutrient-rich soil, which we have with the good dirt, and that you're planting in a really good container that's going to give you a lot of drainage. So the Smart Pots has the nice aerated fabric, which gives you that drainage that you really need for your plants. And as they grow, the aerated fabric helps them air prune, helps the roots air prune, so they'll develop nice, strong roots. Okay, we've got our seeds planted. Let's get a couple more of our transplants in here. So we're going to fill in the garden bed with about 3 more Space Master cucumber plants. It's going to look so pretty along this trellis once this fills in and give you a nice, enjoyable space to be out in your garden and watch your vegetables grow. Now cucumbers are a warm weather loving vegetable. They like temperatures of 60 to 85 degrees. So plant them in an area in your garden where they get about 4 to 6 hours of sun. And they also like a little bit of afternoon shade when the weather gets really hot. So this will be a perfect spot for these. Now that we've got our vegetables planted, we want to get them off to a good start by giving them a nice drink of the Vermistera worm tea. Now this really helps them get off to a good start, really helps with root development, and it just gives them that nice little boost. So I'm pouring about 3 ounces here in my watering can. Now remember, we installed drip irrigation last week, so these plants are getting nice regular water with the drip irrigation system. However, because they're container plants, the nutrients tend to drain out a little bit faster. So I do like to give them a drink of worm tea when I plant them, and also about once a week. So I'm just going to water them here, my watering can. And again, you can pick up the Vermistera worm tea, vermistera.com. Use the code CaliKim for that 10% discount. Get them nice and soaked down and water them just until the water runs out the bottom. Now I do have these nice little drip trays under here. Go back and watch the first episode. Those are just old wreath holders, storage containers from Christmas time that I picked up at Walmart on clearance. So make sure that you recycle, upcycle, get creative with all the different trellising options, and just have a lot of fun with your small space garden. And one thing here as I'm watering, I just noticed the lettuce seeds we planted last week are just starting to poke through the soil. So that's a lot of fun. We're gonna have everything we need for a nice tasty salad. Some cucumbers, some tomatoes, the beans are growing in nicely. Wow, this is getting exciting. It's really taking shape. Look at that pepper plant, that California Wonder. Nice and green and healthy. It's that good dirt soil and all the vermistera worm castings and worm tea. This is looking good. Well, there you have it, some really easy DIY trellis options for you. Whether you use the stakes, whether you use some fencing, or whether you're upcycling with fun garden tools or fencing from thrift stores or things you just find around your house. Get creative. Don't have to spend a lot of money, just get some trellising in so you can maximize your garden space and you don't waste all that vertical space. Well, I just want to thank Smart Pots for partnering with us on this series, for providing their wonderful fabric growing containers, and for providing these beautiful 5-gallon containers for the giveaway. So don't forget to leave your comments down below. Let me know what you learned, and that way you're entered in the giveaway. If you haven't jumped in yet and gotten your seeds started, it's definitely not too late. Head over to the CaliKim website, pick up a small space seed collection, and get yourself some of these beautiful vegetables planted. Now, on next week's episode, we're going to continue on with vertical gardening and talk about how to use the towers, how to use the stacks, the Smart Pot stacks, and how to maximize the deck rails with the wall saddle planters. We're going to be getting some of these lovely greens planted. So I hope you're having fun with the Small Space Garden series. I look forward to reading your comments and hearing how your garden is doing. Well, we've put in a good day's work. Now it's time to sit and relax and enjoy our garden space. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.